Hi, thanks for tuning in to CashForYourHouseIndianapolis.com. My name's Stephen Barton, co-founder of Solid Rock Solutions Company here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to improve your credit score. One of the biggest things that I had to overcome in my adult life was my poor credit. I was faced with a degenerative disc disease. I had bulged discs and I had actually ruptured one of my discs. And through the course of learning what was going on with my back, I had to go to all kinds of doctors and emergency rooms, and it led to hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of medical debt. And one of the first things that I want to talk to you about is some proactive ways that you can take to get your credit back on track. You do not need to go out there and pay a bunch of people a whole bunch of money to improve your credit. There's a lot of things you can do on your own for free to improve your credit. One of these things would be to just know your score. Actually getting on a couple of sites like annualcreditreport.com, creditkarma.com. These are just ways that will let you access your credit score and your credit history for free. You're allowed one time a year to obtain a credit report on annualcreditreport.com. And those are reports that are taken from all three credit bureaus, which is Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. CreditKarma.com is actually a site that you can sign up for. It's free. It does not cost me anything, and I am very active on that site in keeping track of my credit score. One of the other things you can do is just pay your bills on time. I know it sounds simple, but really, when it comes down to it, your creditors that you owe money to are going to be reporting on your payment history. And if you're showing up 31 days late, 30 days late, that's going to be a mark on your credit history, and it's going to show up on your score. It's going to knock your score down a few points. So another idea that I have is keeping balances low. If you get online, you'll find some information out there about, it's what's called utilization. You want to keep your credit card utilizations rate down to about 10 to 30%. So what's that mean? So you have, let's say, a $300 credit card, a real small credit card. At 30%, that means you can't charge or use more than $90 out of that $300 limit. Now, this is something that I was able to do, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that later, why that helps. Only apply and open for new credit cards when needed. Now, this is really important, and it kind of goes along with the next step. Just don't go out and get the first credit card that comes your way. Really do your research. Do some due diligence and discover what the interest rate is on that card. Is there an annual fee to be a part of that card? You got to actually read fine print on some of these, and there's some terrible ones out there. And I want you to be educated. I really want you to be aware of what some of these credit card companies are trying to push onto people. Another thing is to pay off debt rather than moving it around. You know, going and getting a credit card just to pay off an old debt isn't necessarily one of the best ideas. In fact, it can actually cause you more headaches, because if you couldn't pay off that original debt, thinking you're going to get a credit card to make up for what you can't pay for, they're going to charge you interest rate on the money that you borrow. So you've got to keep that in mind. So it's not a good idea. One of the best ways is to find out who you owe money to. For me, I had medical debts that were in small claims. I was able to get on creditkarma.com. I found out who it was that I actually owed money to. I contacted those individuals. And sometimes you can even figure out a way for them to be lenient with you. You can contact them by writing a letter to, say it's Visa, and say you had a debt that you were unemployed at the time and you could no longer pay that actual payment each month. Well, you can write them a letter and you can ask them, hey, you can show where you had a good history with them, and you can verify that you were unemployed at that current time when there was the missed payments, and they might actually forgive that and remove it from your credit. You know, just staying open and communicating with your creditors that you owe money to is just one of the most important things that you can do. For me, it was communicating with some of these agencies and these collection services, and I negotiated with some of them, not all of them, but I was able to get a payoff, and I was actually able to pay them off. You can even request that they will mark it on your credit report as paid in full or payment made in full. One of the last things I have is do not close any credit cards. Even if you have a credit card out there that you're no longer using, a great tip that I discovered, that if you have a credit card that you don't use anymore, you can actually use it to make a recurring utility payment. You can find a use for that credit card by getting rid of that credit card that maybe you don't use much anymore. It actually will show up on a credit bureau. It shows to them that your credit availability is, it used to be $500, you close that $500 credit card, and now you're $500 less of what credit you have available to you. So it's just not very wise to do that. Writing letters to any creditors that you might have, staying in good contact with them, and then paying off your debts one little piece at a time. For me, I had thousands of dollars of debt. I couldn't pay thousands of dollars off in one time. All I could afford was a small monthly payment. And that's what I do each and every single month. I make a small monthly payment, and slowly, one piece at a time, take the smallest debts you have and pay those off first. Worry about the big ones as you can get to them. You know, and as you see those little ones disappear, it's going to make you feel so much better to know that you're improving your credit history one little step at a time. Log on to creditreport.com. Get your free credit report for free one time a year. I also highly recommend getting on creditkarma.com. The karma is spelled with a K. You get on that site, you can check your credit score every single month, and you're allowed to get your credit full report one time a year. But through creditkarma.com, you can update your credit history. You can update new credit cards that you have that maybe aren't showing up yet. You can update payments that have been made to a certain creditor that you owe money to. These are just simple steps that you can take in improving your credit. Thank you so much for listening and watching today. Please hit the like button below and subscribe to us. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the comments below. Thanks.